Monero is out to kill Bitcoin. Here's why. Monero is a decentralized, privacy-focused digital currency based on the proof-of-work consensus process. The key advantages of Monero are its anonymity and fungibility. This effectively implies that no one will be able to monitor your transactions. But what makes it so private and superior to Bitcoin as well as other cryptocurrencies? Keep in mind that when it comes to your hard-earned cash, we don't claim to be financial experts. So at the end of the day, it's entirely up to you what you do with the information we provide in our content. The fundamental distinctions between Bitcoin and Monero will be highlighted in this video, as well as why Monero's privacy may render Bitcoin obsolete. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel to learn more about cryptocurrency before we continue. Done? Alright, let's get on with the video. Bitcoin was the king of anonymous transactions during the Silk Road's prime. Unfortunately, depending on who you ask, its open ledger eventually became a weakness. Unlike in 2010 when users bought Bitcoin directly from miners, today's Bitcoin is almost entirely purchased through KYC exchanges. Monero, on the other hand, is built on the CryptoNote open source software. It's a cryptocurrency application layer protocol that tries to fix or enhance Bitcoin's shortcomings, such as traceability, the proof-of-work function, bulky scripts, etc. Although CryptoNote is best known for its contribution to Monero, it can also be used to produce any private coin. It keeps Monero confidential by using several addresses and features known as ring signatures. This is going to be the first thing we'll be going through, so hold onto your seats and don't go anywhere, or you might miss out. What are ring signatures? A ring signature is similar to a Cash App or Venmo transaction, except that it uses a distinct username to give and receive money. This masks the user's identity. To verify validity, the ring signature is merged with the prior signature. What happens is that instead of to and from an amount, the blockchain shows random data. On top of that, Monero uses a stealth address to protect the original address of a user. So every time you decide to make a transaction, they create random keys for these stealth addresses. The sender still has an address to which they may transfer XMR, but they don't know your true address or identity. Cool, right? From the outside, someone looking at a specific block would only see a complete pool of people from whom the money might have been transferred. That leaves absolutely no means of knowing who took part in the transaction or how much money was delivered. The IRS is currently offering a prize of $625,000 to anyone who can find out how to track the information. That's how confident they are. This brings us to the popular question everyone is asking today. Will Monero kill Bitcoin? Bitcoin transactions are far more private than card transactions in the absence of outside meddling because Bitcoin addresses are completely separate from your real name. But KYC laws are mandated by the government for modern exchanges. As a result, the majority of Bitcoin in a typical wallet can be traced back to the exchange where it was acquired and then linked to a person's address. Despite what Bitcoin fans claim, Bitcoin still doesn't prevent government goals such as wealth extraction through taxation. You can't hide on a public ledger that everyone and their mother can audit. Monero is unique in this regard because wallet balances and transactions are totally concealed. This is what essentially makes Monero fungible. In economics, fungibility is a method of determining if something can be regarded as clean money. For example, a pound of gold has the same atomic weight as another pound of gold. Although dollar notes have distinct patterns and serial numbers, $1 is equal to another. With Bitcoin, it can be traced all the way back to the block it was created on, as well as its whole transaction history, which may contain unlawful transactions or hacks. This could make certain Bitcoins less appealing, and they could be called dirty Bitcoins. In comparison, Monero is totally fungible in terms of traceability and value, so there are no dirty or clean coins in the Monero network. Absolutely none. Nada. Monero differs from Bitcoin because it doesn't have a block size restriction. Depending on the amount of traffic, blocks will grow or shrink in size. Imagine a motorway that adds extra lanes during rush hour. Transaction costs are reduced due to the higher block sizes. This may appear to be a good thing, but it allows malicious actors to literally flood the network with useless transactions. Monero combats this by imposing fines for large blocks. As a result of this penalty, miners are less inclined to confirm it first. The fluctuating block size will also keep Monero's performance consistent. Because the average time for a block to be verified is 2 minutes, the receiver will get a notification that the money has been received in the same amount of time. Compare this to Bitcoin's 10-minute mining period. While the funds take 2 minutes to arrive, a recipient wallet on the other side of the planet will receive a message that the funds are on their way in less than a second. Another advantage of Monero is its capacity to withstand censorship. There are a few things to consider in this situation. Mining is the first. Both Bitcoin and Monero employ a proof-of-work consensus system, yet Monero's mining technique is supposed to be more decentralized. Bitcoin is mostly mined with ASICs, or application-specific integrated circuits, which are very costly computers. They make mining look simple, but it's a specialized industry that requires a huge financial investment. Monero gets around this by adopting the random X mining algorithm, which is immune to ASICs. The most efficient method of mining Monero is to use a CPU, which practically everyone has inside their computer. As a result, mining Monero is less like a business and allows more people to contribute to the network's decentralization. The more miners there are, the less likely it is to fail. Transparency isn't always an advantage. Transparency is an advantage in Bitcoin. It allows anybody to check the ledger at any moment, ensuring that each node can keep all transactions checked and avoid double spending. As we previously mentioned, the majority of Bitcoin flows via KYC exchanges that are linked to a person's identification. This openness can be harmful since the funds in a wallet might be linked to a person's identity. This means you can figure out who owns a wallet by looking at the patterns in it. For instance, if you're purchasing a high-end MacBook or a car with Bitcoin and you only have $2,000 in your wallet, the retailer can barter the price down because they know you're short on cash. If you had $1 million, they'd know you're less likely to argue about the price because you don't need it right away. Therefore, you won't be saving any money. If you give to a cause that the vendor disagrees with, they'll notice and might even refuse to sell to you. Worse, they may refuse to sell to you until you give to a cause you disagree with. After all, everything is public. On Monero, since fund quantities and transaction histories are fully anonymous, this could never happen. Some argue that purchasing Monero through a KYC portal negates the anonymity benefit. This isn't entirely accurate. If you go to a bank and withdraw money, then spend it on a drink, the bank only knows how much money you took out and when. It will have no idea where you spend it. If your Monero is stolen from an exchange, the hacker will only know when you moved it, not in terms of how much or which wallet. Most people are aware that there will never be a finite amount of Bitcoin. There will never be any more. While scarcity is beneficial for price increases, it's also a disadvantage. If a global disaster destroys all of the world's electronics for a day, there's a good chance that all of the Bitcoin will be destroyed as well. In contrast, Monero has an infinite supply, so even if all of it disappeared at once, you could still produce more using your computer. The last block of Bitcoin will be mined around 100 years, whereas the last block of Monero will be mined sometime in May. While the benefits will decline over time, they will never reach zero because of a phenomenon known as tail emissions. After the final block is mined, every succeeding block will provide a constant 0.6 XMR reward. Because it replaces lost Monero while also not overflowing the supply, the extremely low inflation rate keeps the price stable. It has become deflationary since 1.5% of Monero's total supply is lost each year, despite Monero's current inflation rate of 0.9%. With all of that being said, privacy might not be all that important to you, but allow us to change your mind and tell you why it is important when it comes to crypto. Why should you care about privacy? The ordinary person associates privacy with criminal activity. True, the early phases of Bitcoin were utilized for illicit behavior on the Silk Road, but many other innovative technologies were also originally exploited by criminals. You should understand that cash is totally anonymous as well. You could be thinking of someone who trades in stolen items, launders money, or buys illicit narcotics. But in many areas, a criminal could also be someone who opposes their government or is part of a terrorist group. The benefits of a digital decentralized currency become irrelevant without privacy. Conclusion. Riccardo Spugni launched Monero in 2013 during the first crypto bull run. Its major purpose was to strengthen the anonymity of the already private Bitcoin by using the crypto note technology, and it was successful. Some Bitcoin users are concerned that Satoshi Nakamoto could unmask himself and eventually sell all of his coins, triggering significant price and ecosystem disruptions. Ethereum, on the other hand, is the polar opposite. Some people are terrified of Vitalik Buterin's concentrated hands. He not only has some direct control over the network, but he's also a powerful figure. He's the one who initiated the hard fork that resulted in the creation of Ethereum Classic. Governments may tolerate cryptocurrencies to some extent, but everyone understands that Monero could be used to stand up to the government. This may be beneficial to Monero users, but it also implies that governments face a greater threat. Monero is a quick, inexpensive, and most importantly, private cryptocurrency that is nearly as ancient as the market itself. Unlike other chains, no one knows how much money you have or how much you've spent. Bottom line, Monero is for you if privacy is important to you. If you found this video helpful, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for future videos. Please also leave a comment below to tell us whether or not you think Monero could kill Bitcoin. If you want a more detailed comparison, click on the pop-out banner to watch our video on Monero versus Bitcoin.